everyone, welcome to another episode of Thriving Talk. Hope everyone has enjoyed the last episodes. This is another Dadson edition in which me, Tim, gets a chance to ask my dad, Tinku Thompson, questions. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just enjoying the weather.
For context, we have a huge winter storm predicted next couple
They
of
say
days.
it's going to be historic. So let's see what it is.
Historic.
We will be part of probably a historic movement. Let's see.
If anyone has forgotten, Thriving Talk is available on all major platforms like iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. Thriving Talk is on there, so make sure to go subscribe and you will receive the podcast. So for today's episode, I want to talk about the subject distractions, and mainly distractions in spiritual life.
Okay.
So, as my first question, what do you think about distractions, and especially in spiritual life?
Before I tell about distraction, can I ask you whether you have distractions in life?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think everyone does, right?
It depends on how you manage. Okay, distractions in spiritual life. Yes, distractions are a reality of life. It can come in different forms, different ways if we are not careful about it. I'm reminded of something right now. There is a book on Practical Guide to Prayer by Dorothy Haskins, and in that she tells about concert violinist, a very excellent violinist. This person was very successful, and so someone asked this question: what was the secret to her success? What she said was there was a time in her life where there was a lot of things she had to do, and a lot of things used to demand her time, and so when she went to the room after her breakfast in the morning, she made up the bed, cleaned up the room, dusted, and did whatever was necessary. And when she was finished with all her work, then it was the time to practice violin. But that system was definitely not working because she was not able to accomplish what she wanted to accomplish. So she reversed the things in the way that, so she deliberately planned to neglect everything else until she has practiced or she has done her practice of the violin, right? So she brought that up front, and then rest of the things followed. So that was a planned neglect program, and that she said that was a secret of her success. So many times distractions comes when we don't prioritize. We spend time and energy on things which has low value compared to our goals and our purposes in life. So there can be distractions all around, and when it comes to spiritual life too, absolutely there will be distractions which could result in neglect of spiritual disciplines in life, fundamental things which we need to do to keep up our relationship with Christ. Distractions are reality, and if people who have not understood it and who have not learned how to take care of it are really going to be struggling with it.
So, can you talk about the different ways we get distracted?
There are many ways in which we get distracted, right? So, some people may be distracted with whatever they are addicted to. So addiction is another problem. And some people may not be addicted, but they may have something like a lot of responsibilities in life.
Too much.
Too much. For example, a working mom. She has to go to work. She has to reach her work in time and do everything, but at the same time she has a lot of things at home also. So that may prevent that person from pursuing something else which is of
She wants.
goals. Yeah, goals or something. Let's say somebody wants to study something. Maybe they want to do a higher degree education, or they want to pursue some hobby or something, right? Even learn to play an instrument.
Okay.
But if they are not going to prioritize that, so what is going to happen is they are going to be always be chasing after the things which demand their time. So that is a reason why sometimes people say, structured learning is better than an unstructured self-paced learning. So I remember, like, once I was looking at some course, and if you want to be in a structured learning where they have deadlines and everything, the fees was more than an unstructured learning where you are on your own and you can finish anytime.
Actually,
Yes.
I thought it might be the opposite.
No,
'cause-
no. So I saw something because in a structured way, there is definitely help needed. There will be somebody else who will be more involved. So it makes sense that why it costs more. But also the fact is that a lot of people actually pay more to be structured, because sometimes if you have a deadline, sometimes if you have a schedule
You'll get
which
things,
is forced upon you,
you'll get things done.
yeah, you tend to be more, So sometimes people ignore and skip their goals, priorities in life, but they cannot skip other things. A good example is somebody who knows that if they do a course or they do some training, they will get a better job, better pay, things will be better. But still, they don't do it because they just feel like I just need to do, and they keep on doing that for years, right? So if they could take a stand and say, no, I'm going to let few things go off in our lives. What they could achieve is they could basically complete that course and then get into a new job, and that may free them up or give them more freedom in life, financial freedom and other things. But a lot of times people don't understand it. They are just trapped into this whole syndrome of distractions. I'm reminded of something which Bible talks. It's from Luke chapter 10. It talks about the story of Martha and Mary. So what happens is Martha and Mary are sisters, and Jesus and his disciples visit them. And then at that time it is said that Martha was distracted with a lot of things, making arrangements, cooking. And Mary was sitting at the feet of Jesus and listening to what Jesus was telling. And Jesus actually, and Martha goes and complains to Jesus that, don't you care that my sister, my sister is not helping and all those. She complains, and then Jesus tells Martha, Martha, you are distracted by a lot of things. So it's not that we should not do the work we are supposed to do, take care of things. Sometimes you don't have to have 100%, done. But you have to pick up your priorities. And there are distractions related to responsibilities in life. There could be distractions related to just addictions. Or sometimes it could be as simple as that you are watching a video, YouTube. One video to another video, you click, go and go and go, and everything looks attractive. And you want to learn a lot of things. Sometimes people have this habit of collecting, right? So they read, or they learn, but that can be distracting them from the purpose they have in their life. So there are many ways in which a person can be distracted.
Is temptation related, or
Temptation can also be part of it. You can be distracted, which can, temptation can come in life, and it can lead you into that situation. But I think when I'm thinking about distraction, it's more like things which are actually stopping you from pursuing greater things in life. Basically, you are stuck.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody picks up and they are motivated today to learn an instrument. They enroll in a course. Maybe they buy a course or something like that, and then they go to class also, but they don't practice at all. They're never going to get better. They may know the theory, but in order to play a good instrument, you play instrument, so you know that. Unless and until you practice, you're not going to get better, right? If things have to be smoothened out, if you have to sound beautiful when you're playing guitar or something, You need to practice. You need to spend time, and it doesn't mean that you have to like practice 10 hours a day or anything like that. Even if you have a consistent 30 minutes per day, that's way better than not doing it, or maybe doing once in a week. So, yeah.
So, for my next question, I want to ask, like, are there different types of distractions? Like, how can we like categorize it?
Yeah, we can categorize it. Let me try. I think many years ago I came across something. So let's categorize it into maybe 5 types of distractions. So it's gonna take a while. So
Okay.
please interrupt me as I talk. The first type I would say is distracted by earthly possessions, right? Because
Earthly
earthly
objects.
things, yeah. Um, so what happens is you are too much focused on the things of this world, and so you just get entangled in that, and basically you're engaged in that, and you're not pursuing your eternal goals,
So,
spiritual goals. This could be, like, let me give you an example. Somebody buys something which is now beyond their affordability capacity. They cannot afford it, and in order to make those payments, they have to work like 2 jobs, 3 jobs, which impacts their life. So a lot of times people think that, by working 2, 3 jobs, they are going to make their kids' future secure. But when the kids are young, they're not spending time with the kids. The kids don't have their parents available because they are working, and
So
then
then-
kids are lost.
so then they don't lead up to a good future.
Yeah, ultimately the kids won't, be there. So by the time they acquire all the possessions in this world, there may not be kids to with them, right? So that's one simple example. So in the same way, there are many things in which somebody can be so attracted to the things of this world that they are distracted. I would also put like attracted to your phone, gadgets, and other things. So basically, using something is not the problem. When those things starts mastering you and controlling you, that's where the problem comes, and you are not able to come out of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I would say that as distractions because of earthly possessions, earthly things. The second thing is you also have something called as opportunity distractions. So sometimes people can deceive you, and that's very much part of this whole online. We hear about scams. We hear don't click links in unnecessary emails, which you are not sure who is sending. There are a lot of things. So when in that case, as a Christian, one thing I want to remind is many times we don't ask God what we need to do. We go with the opportunities which are there in front of us. We feel like we can pursue anything and everything which comes our way. So that's another thing. Then the third thing is, of course, the people distractions. You can be distracted by pursuing other people. Sometimes people spend so much time in chasing after a celebrity or a sports player or something that they earn millions, but these people destroy their life. So that's another thing, the people distractions. Just I can talk a lot about that, but sometimes that can lead you to sinful experiences too.
Influence.
Sinful influence, spiritually distracted in the sense like you are committing sin because of that. David is a good example in that regard from the Bible. The fourth is sometimes people can be distracted by their positions. They want to control, they are in the leadership position, they refuse to do things the way they should do. So they have, no intention to serve. They feel like they are better than others. So that can all lead them to a distracted place where they are like thinking themselves as more. So because of your position and what you have in life, that can be a distraction to you. Finally, I want to also mention about something called as emotional distractions. Um, you know, what that means is we are distracted by a lot of things in this world, politics, issues, and we raise our anxiety level because some politician said something.
Following afterwards.
Yeah, we think that we can solve all the issues of this world. Sometimes people argue and argue and argue, and they feel like, they will
And
be
then
able
you
to.
never get to end of anything.
Yeah, so they think that by arguing they were going to solve all the problems. So sometimes people talk as if by their discussion they are going to solve all the problems in Washington, D.C. They think that all the crisis we are having in Middle East or Ukraine, Russia, or all the problems of this world, they are going to solve it by. So they're so much into it that it impacts them emotionally too, and sometimes people can become even violent in that scenario. So so I think these are some of the ways, as I said, you can be distracted by earthly possessions or earthly things, opportunity distractions where you go after opportunities without understanding what God wants you to do, or asking for God's will. You can be distracted by other people. You can become so much following someone, and you can be lost in that direction. You could be lost by or distracted by the positions or what you have in life. And last thing I said was emotional distraction, right? So you could be emotionally drawn and following some things. So a lot of people go crazy when something happens in a world where it really should not impact them at all. But that's the reality of life, yes. So I would categorize it in this way, and of course, as I said, we can go deep into this, and there are so many things we can see from the Bible, as well as from history, as well as from the current affairs which is going on. But we, as people of God, we need to be very careful.
So for the next question, be honest. Do you struggle with it, and how do you handle it?
Absolutely, everybody struggles, but not to the level where I used to struggle in the past. So as you become more aware of these things, what are the steps you need to take. A good example I will tell you. I will go back to the first story I shared, right? So what happens is, in that scenario, this violinist says that, I do all the things and I don't have time, right? So I think if we don't have the discipline in our life, okay, let me just tell you that. If we didn't have the discipline, we will not be doing this 29th or 30th episode of Thriving Talk. Huh?
30th.
30th. Yeah, we will not be doing this 30th episode of Thriving Talk. Because there is a lot of temptation all the time. Like, sometimes we think, we talk, should we skip?
Yeah.
I remember, like, once you said, should we make it once in 2 weeks? So once you go there, you think, maybe we can make it once in 3 weeks, once in a month. It's easy, right?
Yeah.
But that's just one example. Thriving Talk recording is one thing. But there are also other things in life, right? So sometimes the thought comes, maybe, a good example where I struggle is sometimes I have so many ideas to write blogs, but sometimes I think, maybe if I don't publish a blog this week, it's okay. The world is not going to end. Sometimes you have to be realistic based on your availability, because energy, time are those things which is very important in our life. Did I talk about energy management? Did we do an episode on energy management? Yeah, we should do
that.
Yeah, time, we spoke a lot about time. But in order to use our time, we need energy, right? So the question comes back is, where do I spend energy? So one thing I personally do is every day, I think I mentioned it in the podcast earlier too, I write a list of things which are of focused, which are daily things I need to do, and then other things. And I'm fine if I don't do everything, but I want to make sure that I give my best time and energy into things which really needs to happen, which needs my fresh mind. So maybe morning, before the day starts, I can get done with some of those things. And then there are certain things for which you don't need a lot of mental energy. That can be just, so paying bills, you don't need a lot of, attention to do that. Right? You just need to go there, click it and do it. And but there are other things where you need a lot of focus, attention, so you have to do it. So yeah, yes, I do, but I think I manage it a little better now. And so when we realize that we are not making progress with our goals and purposes in life, I think that's where we need to make those adjustments and reprioritize it. And sometimes we may have to say, I'm not going to do certain things because this is not going to add value to me or to anyone, or to, because that's just there. For example, somebody comes and says, hey, let's go and spend a half a day for, some enjoyment, right? If I'm not going to enjoy that, I'm not just not going to say, yeah, I will come
Yeah.
for obligation or thinking that I will offend that person. No. If there is something more valuable I can do in that half day.
That's the thing about like not making someone sad because
Yeah, but sad, you have to be realistic. If you want to
yeah.
please everyone in this world, and at the end of the day, you will be a sad person. So it's not trying to say that you need to be rude or anything, but you need to be intentional, because
Short.
time is resource which you have very limited, and your energy is also limited. I'm not trying to say that, you should not have. You should have time for enjoying and all, but at the same time, you have to make sure that you are making progress with what are your goals in life too. Okay.
Yeah. So to sum it all up, do you have any final thoughts? Like anything more to add?
Yeah, I would say that I want to read, basically remind you what it says in the book of Hebrews from the Bible, chapter 12, verses 2. It says, we have to look unto Jesus, who is author and finisher of our faith. And it says that for the joy set in front of him, he endured the cross, despising the shame, right? And in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, it talks about why do we run? And it says that we run to win, right? So if we lead a distracted life, we will not be able to win.
Yeah.
We will lose a lot of things in life. We will lose family relationships. If you are distracted at your job, you may lose your job. If you're distracted at school, your grades will not be good. If you're distracted in any aspect of life, right, it will have a ripple effect, or it will have an effect later. Sometimes you may not see it today, but it will have. So it is very important that we remain strong, and just like a coach will always, you know, challenge and push the people whom they are training to be diligent. Otherwise, it's not going to happen, right? And then we need to have single-mindedness at times in order to avoid, because we need to look at the prize which is ahead of us. If there is no view of the prize, then we can be easily distracted. And Paul actually, in his writings, actually talks about the fact that our Christian life is a race, and our goal is to become like Christ. So there are many good things in this world, but we need to have that focus. And as one of our first episode was on purpose of life, if we have a purpose in life, if we have goals which we are clear, an easy way to see whether we are leading a distracted life or not is to just evaluate how much progress we have made. Now, this is the second month is coming to an end in this year.
So fast.
Yeah, so we can go back and look at the decisions we took in January.
Are we still doing that?
Are we still there, or are we making progress with that? Of course, I can tell you that when I look at, like, I had so many things which I wanted to. There are certain
Same.
things where I can see, yes, I'm cruising, I'm making
Same.
progress, no worries with that. But there are also things where I am slacking, I'm like not struggling, not made progress as I should make. So I need to see what is distracting, what is the problem. Do I have too much on my plate, or is it really I'm distracted by certain things? So then I need to reprioritize it. So I would encourage everyone to think about it and make sure that you're focused upon the things you need to do, and let's make sure that these distractions are not derailing us and stopping us from achieving what God wants to achieve in our lives.
So thank you for sharing, and to all our listeners, I hope this episode helped you to rethink, like, are we focused? Are we staying away from things? Are we doing things that really have a meaning to us and really matter to us? And my dad shared some ways we can stay focused. Like, we need to realize why we're getting focused, and if it's something, we got to remove it. So, to all our listeners, thank you for listening. In the coming weeks, we will be coming back with more editions of Thriving Talk, and I'll be asking more questions. As we said in the beginning, this episode is available on all the different platforms. Do not forget to follow or subscribe to the Thriving Talk podcast on your favorite platform to receive new episodes as they get released. Also, remember that my dad has a newsletter that goes out every other week. Does it go out this week?
Which one? Newsletter next week. We had one last week.
Okay. So feel free to subscribe to that newsletter that has all the information, like Thriving Talk and many other things. So feel free to subscribe to that. We'll be back, but until then, remember that we should try to stay away from distraction and instead try to be focused.
Thank you. God bless you.